Welcome back to the Skitch on Wheels channel. Got some exciting news today. You know, we don't have a lot of products for this new DR-Z4S, but right now one of the biggest ones we've been waiting on is an enlarged or bigger fuel tank, and that's what we've got. So now we're going to go from 2.3 gallons to 3.3 gallons. And a gallon might not sound like a lot, but it's a huge difference. And so we're going to do a complete install on this today, show you what it's like, how to fit it, how to put it on. But yeah, I've been camping recently on this bike, and I had to stop way too many times, look for gas before I was actually going to where I needed to go. So this is going to be a great lifesaver. It's going to extend our journeys and our trips on this new DR-Z4S. So shout out to IMS for producing this. I've been in contact with them for a while. They've been working hard to get this to us. And one great thing that they've done is they've given a 20% off coupon code for you all, and I'll have a link to that in the description. Now that's a huge amount, and I don't know if it'll stay that way, how long it'll stay that way, but for right now, use that coupon code, and it's going to be 20% off this fuel tank. So shout out to them for doing that for us, for all our DR-Z4S owners. So let's go through. I'm going to show you what you get, and let's get started on it. All right, let's take a look and see what we get. This you don't get. That's my DR-Z4S manual. I always have that in case I need to reference something. But the big, this is a nice enlarged 3.3 gallon fuel tank. Does come with a new fuel cap. Now, I went to my local motorcycle shop and picked up a little fuel vent line for like $1.50. That does not come with it. Got some nuts and bolts here, a couple different brackets. You get some stickers, a couple washers here, and then an O-ring. Some of you might be in a state that requires a little bit higher emissions control, and this bike does not have it. The kit that I showed you doesn't have it, but if you have the bike that does, you'll notice in the back here there'll be a little canister called an evap system, and it does something with getting rid of the fuel smell or the fuel condensation. I'm not real sure, but IMS has a special system set up with this tank to help eliminate that or to meet the requirements. So just make sure you reach out to them, let them know which bike you have so you're getting the right product. So first things first, I've got a PDF file that IMS sent me that's going to show me the different stages and steps to installing this tank. And I think that instruction might be included with the tanks that they send out from now on. If not, they're going to send it to you as a PDF form like I have. But the very first thing we do is take off a lot of stuff. And for this Suzuki, it's going to be this whole plastic shroud here we're going to do first to get to the tank. We're going to need to take this seat off, so we're going to have two bolts, one here, and of course this is the same on the other side. That'll get the seat off, and then this whole plastic shroud we're going to take off. We got a bolt here, a bolt here, a bolt here, and of course that's replicated on the other side. Let's go ahead and take all these out. These are a metric 8mm. Then we'll loosen the other side as well. Now that I have these bolts out, I'm going to show you a little trick that I do. It might be overkill for some of you, but I've lost too many bolts and not sure what order they are. So let's look over here in the bench and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So something I do is I get a piece of cardboard and I label it. Right now I've taken off the seat and the fairing, left, right, and then what I'll do is I'll just put some holes in here and I'll put these screws in where they're supposed to go in the order that I took them off and their location. That way I've got them in a good area. They're not going to get lost, and I'm going to know exactly how they go back in. Time to pull the seat off. I do have a Nelson rig tank bag that I use. That's what this strap is. I'm going to try to leave that on. I use some of their gear. You can check the link up above and see what gear I use, especially when I go camping. I've got their saddlebags that I use. But let's get the seat off. You have to go ahead and take the gas cap off to be able to take all this plastic off. These should be the last two bolts that we take off, both 8mm, to remove all the plastics. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So right now it looks like we have a couple more bolts here to get rid of this tank. I'm not sure how we handle this. I'll be able to see better once I take this off. But the next step that they're asking us to do is right back in here. We've got this bolt here. It's an Allen wrench on one side and I think a bolt on the other. And then it's got a little collar on the inside, a little sleeve there. Got to make sure when that comes out that you save that doesn't fall away. So let's work on getting the tank off there. These are both 10 millimeter. There's two little rubber spacers here. I'm sure we'll use those again, or at least I think we will, so hang on to those. On this side of the tank, this spot right here, we're going to have a number 5 Allens. On the right side of the tank, you're going to have a 10 millimeter nut on that side. So you're going to have to hold on to this one and then loosen the other side with the Allen's wrench. This is a part to be careful. Inside this is that little sleeve or collar. And that would be easy to fall down into the motor and lose. So you're going to have to keep that. It probably goes without saying, but when you remove this tank, it's better not to have gas in it. I've siphoned about a gallon off of it already. I'm going to try to get the rest of it right now. Try to get it as empty as I can. And then once it's off, take it outside and do the rest of it. So this part here was actually part of the gas tank, so no need to worry about that. It's just the way it rests. So we're going to lift it out. Next up is this little fuel pump coupler. We're just going to push that in, release that. And so that plug's disconnected. After that, right here, we have a coupler onto this fuel feed hose. So we're going to try to pop those off and then remove that. And that should be the last thing we have to do to get this tank off. And that was easy enough. Pretty simple steps getting that tank out. I'm going to go ahead and take it off and see if we got any more gas in there to get out. And then I'm going to show you a comparison in size between this one and the new IMS. Let's have a look at these two tanks together. Here we have the little over 2 gallon stock tank. I don't know why they can't make stock tanks bigger. I'm just glad there's companies like this that can give us what we need. So when it comes to weight, I would say this is about half the weight as the stock tank. So that's a benefit as well. What we'll do, the next steps are, we've got to take these two mounting points off here, transfer them over to here. We've got to take this whole bracket off. We're going to take that float system out, put it on the bottom of the new tank. And then there's a bracket here that we're going to put to the back of this tank that mounts it on the bike as well. So that's kind of where we're at. We're going to go in order and let's go on to the next step. So here again, we've got these two Allen bolts. They're a number 5 metric. This whole unit transfers over to the new tank, except on the back, there's this little stopper here. That comes off. Now we're going to transfer this bracket over to the front of the tank. Make sure that this opening here is in the up position. And then just do these by hand at first because you don't want to strip these at all. And you'll come to an end where they can't go any further. Now, before I go any farther, it's been recommended that I put a little bit of gas in this tank, swish it around, and then pour it out. Because we don't know what's on the inside. We don't know what kind of film is in there. And that can really gunk up your fuel injector. So we're going to do that and then get back to doing the install. Let's move on to the original tank, and we're going to take out the fuel pump and the level sensor. We've got 5 of these Allen wrench bolts, and they're a number 5 Allen wrench. So we'll take that out next and transfer it over to the new tank. And here's the original O-ring, which we'll get rid of that because we have a new one with the IMS tank. One other thing to mention about this fuel pump before you take it out is see about this angle where it's pointed to on this tank. It fits nice and snug in this tank, but I don't know over on the new tank if there's anything that traps it in the correct position. So when you pull it out, I just know that between these two holes here, it's splitting it down the middle. So that way you're getting this fuel pump back in the exact same position as it is in the original tank. So we have the new O-ring that's been supplied. We're going to go ahead and slip that on and get it in position. So the hardest part so far has been getting this inside to fit that. It's a tight fit. You're going to have to really do some pushing on it. And the way these bracket holes, they're different than from the original tank. So you can't really go in between two of these. It's just different. You'll just have to look. I've got it at about the angle that it was on the old tank. And I think that's what this maybe is indent here as far as for the fuel line. But that seems to be in a good position. Some things you're going to have to consider here is this plate has a little spot for this little nipple here. And so when you put that in, you have to be able to line that up and line all these holes up. And the only way to do that is with this fuel plug running almost vertical, where before it was pointed at an angle. So hopefully that doesn't cause a problem. It doesn't kink the fuel line, but that's the only way that I see that you can put this together. This was difficult to get in, but it's in, it's set. So let's put it all back together. These bolts do have a torque spec of 7.5 foot-pounds, which is 90 inch-pounds, which is what I have here as a torque wrench. The other thing is they recommend doing a star pattern when you tighten these. All right, bear with me a little bit. Got a big storm coming through, so the light is a little bit darker. This next part will be a little bit difficult. This is the mounting bracket supplied. It's going to mount right here to this bar, and that's where the back of the tank is going to mount to. Now on the bottom side, you've got these bolts here. They're a 6 millimeter, and we're going to run those up through the bottom. And then we're going to attach one of these locking washer bolts here on top. Do it a second time. Oh shoot, where'd it go? So if you notice, I've got a little different setup on this side because I dropped the one that I needed down in here somewhere and I couldn't find it. So they're in here, they're loose. Let's get these put on. I suggest doing this first rather than mounting this onto the tank first, because otherwise you're never going to get under here to hold these. We're ready to install the tank necks, and remember this front attachment here, that's going to go up through here, and we're going to attach that first, and then we're going to nestle this into the back and attach that. But first, we're going to hook up all the electronics to it and also the fuel line. All right, let's go ahead and put the fuel line back on. Let's hope that it fits, since we got everything in a kind of a different position. There we go. Popped in. Looks like there's going to be, yeah, there's going to be room under there. Last now, let's find our little electrical plug. And it's going to go right in here. Snaps in. So those are only two connections. Let's move up to the front and start attaching the tank. So we're going to insert this little sleeve back into the collar. Hey, before we go any further, let's go ahead and put some gas in here and see if we can get it to crank before I start wrapping things up. I've got the fuel vent line as well. We're going to pop that on. All right, moment of truth. Next up, we got a bracket here we're going to do a little bit of cutting on just so the seat will fit snug underneath it and we'll give it good support and that seat won't flop around. Also took the vent tube here and went straight down the front here where the front fork's attached to the bike. Now I'll show you on their diagram as well, but what we're going to do, this goes right here and that seat slides under this end, but we now have a bracket here and it's getting in the way, so you can't put this back where it's supposed to. So you're going to make a cut here, here, and here so that that will slide and mount again. So I'll show you what the instructions look like. Pretty easy job with the Dremel. Probably not the best thing you can use. There's probably some more powerful things, but I had the Dremel, it worked. Cut this metal piece off here. So let's head to the bike, put it on. I'll show you why you had to cut this piece out. So here's that piece. The seat has a part on it that slides right under here. This is the new mounting bracket here to the tank. So that's why we cut that out. So that will fit a whole lot better. So let's go ahead and tighten these up. Finally, here at the end, we're going to separate these two side fairing plastics from that plastic cover of the old gas tank. And there's just a couple of screws in here that we need to undo. These just slide out and pop off. And we don't need this anymore. So on our fairings here, we have some tabs that we have to get rid of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it's the same on the other one. So I'm going to clip those off, but you have to be careful because the job you do, you could mess up this leading edge here, and then that would be somewhat noticeable. So you have to take some time and be particularly careful when you're cutting these off to make sure that you don't mess up the rest of the fairing. So I was able to clip these down. I don't think they look bad, but they still kind of protrude just a little bit. So back to the Dremel, and we're going to kind of grind those down. We got the two fairings done, got all those tabs gone. Let's put it on the bike and see how well it fits. So let's get a closer look. I could have maybe smoothed that out just a little bit. I really like this seat, how it sits here though. This side, I could probably trim that just a little bit more. But all in all, it fits really nice. Definitely nice having a proper tank fitted on this bike. It looks really good. Wow, can't tell you how excited I am that we finally have an enlarged gas tank for the DR-Z4S. It's going to open up our riding possibilities and give us a lot more opportunities. And I want to give a shout out to IMS for getting this tank to me. Pretty straightforward install. I think it looks great on the bike. Also, you can save 20% now if you go in the description, follow the link, put in the coupon code, and you should get 20% off the price of this tank. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you would, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and I'll catch you in the next video.